welcome back to my channel. Today I'm having a special guest with me. As you know, I switched up my YouTube a little bit, heading to another direction, and I felt like I should be bringing some kind of different kind of attribute. Can I say that? To the characters, to the society, to see how we can either help each other, build each other, be effective, and life lessons. Introduce yourself, then we can go for it.
Well, my name is Irene Mutonyi. I am 43 years old. I'm a mother of 3 children. I'm a wife and a teacher by profession. At the same time, I have counseling abilities in my bag in the background. So
most of you might wonder why I chose, or maybe you are also wondering why I chose you to come. And I'm very excited and also thankful that thank you for honoring this invitation.
You're welcome.
So I have seen a lot of people in society that have done a strong impact, especially like someone who's not a celebrity, somebody who's not famous, but someone who has made a difference in society in just a short while, in a short period. And I admire those kind of people, and I want to use this platform to kind of approach these people, ask them how have they done it in society to kind of make it, right? There is a certain inspiration you bring onto our society, especially the Ugandan society. At least I see it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have a few questions that I'll be asking Anne, and she will just lighten up on how her life has been from moving from Uganda to Sweden, her career and whatnot. So let's just dive into it. What was your dream job growing up?
My dream job, as a child, I loved talking, I loved playing, I loved singing. So basically there was not a really particular job that I thought about, but I felt I needed to be on a platform somewhere someday. Speak to people, sing for people, stand in front of people. Right. That was me. So it was more, as I kept on growing up, it was more into mass communication. Right. Because I felt like I needed to speak to the masses. I needed to proclaim or do something that attracts attention towards me as I speak, as I use my voice, because I believe my voice is a beautiful voice. It's a beautiful gift that has been given to me by the Almighty. So I just wanted to be in front of people. That's it.
And you're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
So you wanted basically to be a communicator?
Yes, I wanted to be a communicator.
What's surprising is that's the field I'm in.
Exactly.
It's so funny. I didn't know.
You took what I wished for.
Do you have any role models?
I have role models, but I'm not so much into what people say. I had a particular role model that I always looked up to. I'm not that kind of person. My role models change with time. Right. At a certain point, I look up to someone because I want to achieve something. And at the moment I achieve it, then I look up to another person. Okay. Because I feel that is now where I want to be. I keep on changing goalposts.
Why is that?
I keep changing goalposts because I feel everything is not static. Right. So there are people that I admired as a child that I looked up to, and I felt, okay, if at one point I happen to be a news anchor, I would be maybe like Bali Francis. Right. And articulate my words in a certain way. Then I admired the Ebonies because I loved acting and singing and being on stage. Yeah. But then when I lost it all, then I looked up to someone else. When I went into teaching, then I looked up to certain administrators, certain teachers, so I kept on changing goalposts. When I came to Sweden, there are people that I looked up to, and I'm like, if I can work hard and maybe be like this person or even be better than that person, then I'm there. You're there. Exactly.
I've always had certain role models, and Unfortunately, one of my role models died. That was my grandpa. But just a bonus question, but I feel like it would be, do you think in a certain way your role models have been able to build up to the person you are today?
Of course. Right. Yes. And even more.
That's great. I want to just dive into a little bit career path in Uganda. How has it been?
My career path in Uganda, should I start from way back before I dived into the career itself?
Not just the career, because there is these small jobs that we do,
exactly.
coffee or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, secretary. But let's dive into like professional part of it.
The professional part of it. The professional part of it started on my graduation day.
Right.
Because 3 days before my graduation day is when I did when I had my first interview, my job interview, and I had applied as a teacher in a school in town, St. Lawrence Citizens High School, and I was told to come and pick up my results, whether I had really got the job or not, on the very day that I would graduate. So.
That's a uni?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just after my graduation, I told my mother, you know what? We are driving straight to the school. And she was like, no, we have to go home. We have to go somewhere. We have to first eat something. And I'm like, no, straight to the school. I check whether I have got the job or not. Then I can move on with my life. Because I need to know whether I'm there or not. I don't need to think about this again.
Right.
So I get to the workplace, boom. My envelope was the first on top.
Okay.
And I had got the job. So the secretary kept on checking several times. I can't see your name. I can't see your name. Then in the end, she was like, oh, it's the very first envelope on top. So that is on my graduation days when I got my first job as a teacher.
Oh, wow.
And I worked for 10 years as a teacher in St. Lawrence and as... and
which grade are you teaching at this point?
At that point, I was a diploma teacher. As a diploma holder fellow,
no, for someone who's been raised here. Diploma means?
It would be like Hochschooler. Someone who has gone through Hochschooler.
Okay, that would be university kind of like, right?
University, but it's a little bit of a slightly lower level than someone who has got diploma here.
All right.
So it was a slightly lower. So I was a diploma holder.
Okay.
Because when you do diploma, then you study 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, 2 years as
just like yrkesskola.
Exact. I think so. So I was teaching O-level students, but then in the end, I ended up teaching also high-level students.
Yeah.
Yes. Then I moved on. I worked for 10 years.
Right.
After 10 years, I had to resign. I was forced to resign. I chose to resign.
At what age are you at this point? Like,
I started working when I was 21 years.
21 years.
21 years. That's when I started working. So after 10 years, I chose to let go. But it was a hard decision to make because it's a decision I made after my house being burnt down.
All right.
So I felt like now this is my turning point.
Right.
I need to move on. I cannot stick here. I cannot stay here anymore because I don't feel it's healthy anymore for me.
Right.
So I chose to leave the job, went into another school, a government school that was even paying less. But I chose that.
Was it on the same level, diploma level?
Yes, it was diploma level. But it would be more flexible for me because I would be staying at my own home.
All right.
And not in the school premises. And at the same time, I felt like then I can be able to do whatever I wanted to do because I had other ambitions. I had other things that I wanted to do, which were not possible for me when I was within the school where I was.
Right.
Yeah. Then after that, I worked in the government school for a certain period of time. I worked in one school in a village setting.
Right.
Then I moved on to town.
Okay.
And within town, it was just near my home. So it would take me only like 10-15 minutes drive, and I would be at my workplace.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Should I also add on the time when I came to Sweden?
No, we'll jump into. I just wanted to get a little bit of background, like what did you do in Uganda, and then
maybe something that I didn't add on. When I was teaching in St. Lawrence, I was able to go back to university and study.
All right.
So when I went back, I did a course in guidance and counseling, and I graduated as a guidance counselor. Okay. So in the school, I ended up working as more or less as a counselor, but mainly for the girls. Sometimes also the boys would come to me. But
There's many questions that are coming up right now, but it's just that's not what we intended for. But now I'm wondering, like, okay, you know what? Let's just give it. Well, I guess we'll just have another interview.
It depends. It depends. If the time allows, maybe we can dive into some of them.
Yeah.
But I was able to do a lot of counseling for the adolescents because I was dealing with adolescents.
Yeah, because you know what? This is so important because someone who hasn't been in Uganda for a long time, and counseling is something that I haven't seen when I was there. I've never seen some kind of counseling, and sometimes when they discipline our kids in Uganda, I feel like these kids lack counseling. So when you're mentioning counseling, is this something that you find in like some schools and some schools not? Or is it there like it's supposed to be in all schools?
There is, in the Ministry of Education, there is a section that would actually, that encourages all schools to have counselors, but practically it doesn't happen.
Right.
Practically, there are just a few schools that take on counseling within their setting. And the kind of tradition that we have within the country, I think most of the heads of the schools demean the ability and the use of a counselor within the school. Right. They feel like we need to discipline. For them, it's more of disciplining children instead of
counseling,
finding out what is it that is disturbing these children.
Yeah.
So there is a lot that's going on, and there is a lot that needs to be worked upon because possibly both the children and the adults need counseling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, moving on to the other question. In your profession, if anyone wanted to move back to Uganda, what would they work with? Because I've now seen a lot of people trying to migrate back in Uganda, and the most profession they do is more like online teaching and what? Maybe TV presenting, I think, stuff like that. But anyway, from your own perspective, what do you think?
From my own perspective, I think it depends on each individual because we are all totally different. We have different types of education backgrounds. Then we have different interests because professions does not necessarily mean it should be a profession that you're going into because it's something that you've studied so much, but it could be something that you're passionate about, something that comes up possibly as a hobby, and then you become a professional in the end. But personally, if I were to travel back to Uganda, I would personally venture into the curriculum. I would be my goal would be aiming at attaching myself to those that are within the curriculum adjustments and changes, because I of late I found out that they are trying to adjust the curriculum, Ugandan's curriculum.
Why is that?
Because it's been so long outdated.
Right.
But at the moment they want it to be more of a curriculum that takes the children ahead. They study exactly what the child lacks, and then you change your type of teaching in accordance to what the children
need.
Exactly, according to the children's needs and abilities.
Yeah.
So it should not be studying should not be just based on the syllabus. syllabus. No, you need to start to understand your children too, the students too,
right.
and then see what are their abilities. How is it that we can...
What are some of the challenges that you have faced along your career, and how have you overcome them?
Can I go for a bit? The challenges that I've got, my first challenge was studying what I didn't want. It was a big challenge because...
Why did you study what you didn't want?
Originally, just like I said, it's the adults that
parents,
condition us and that push us possibly into what we want and don't want, or decide for us. In any case, I went into education just because I did not get the points. I missed just slightly. I didn't get the points that would take me to Makerere University.
Right.
So I ended up going to Chambogo University, which was teacher education, which was a little bit slightly lower than Makerere University during our times. So I studied to be a teacher by then, but it wasn't my choice. I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher then. Okay. I felt like, no, I want something else.
But
then I had to also consider my mom. She was like, I cannot afford paying private education for you at the university, so you need to go for government education, which you've got, which is free, and you've gotten education, so you've also got the points that take into education.
Important for her.
Exactly. So she's like, you need to take this. This is the only option. Maybe along the way, when you start working and you grow up, you've grown up, you've made your own money, you can divert and go into exactly what you want.
I understand.
So within a short time, because I started working in 2000, and by 2003, I had already made up my mind. I had to go back to school.
Right.
And I told my employer straight away, because I got a promotion just after 1 year. So I told him, I'm getting this promotion, but on condition that the promotion will allow me to upgrade my education. And he was like, we shall discuss when the time comes. And I'm like, no, it's a condition. I take up the promotion only when I can be allowed to go back and study. And he says, it's okay, you will. So 2005, I went back and upgraded went back into guidance and counseling as a course.
Yeah. How long was this course?
The course was 3 years. It was 3 years, but still it was also challenging.
Right.
It was really challenging because...
So it's a program, not a course?
It's a...
Because if you say course, I feel like it's 1 month.
Here in Sweden, we would say it's a course.
Yeah.
But it's a whole program. Like I'm studying to become maybe a teacher. Yes.
But even in Uganda, I understand it should be a program.
It's a program.
Once it exists 2 years.
Yes.
It becomes a program.
Yes. So I went into that guidance and counseling, but then I was studying while working. And so I would work during the day, and in the evening I go and study. And at that time I also had a child.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you have a child at that time?
Yes, at that time. When I started, I had just got a baby.
Oh wow, Sanya.
Yes, I had just got a baby. Within the same year when I got the baby is when I also started studying.
Oh wow. How did you balance?
I juggled. I would leave the child at home and then rush to school. In the beginning I didn't have a car. Then within some few months I was able to buy a car. So I would rush to work, to school and study, then come back home.
And then that's the teaching part?
I would teach during the day.
Oh.
Yes.
So the school was in the evening?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I would start studies at 5. I think it was between 4 and 5. And we would end the studies at 9 in the night.
And then you have to go and breastfeed.
Yes, but then the biggest challenge that I got is after a certain period in 2007, we had to shift from Kampala, which was actually the place where I was studying. Then we had to move to Katende. that is where the school had to be moved to.
Oh, wow.
So I would have to travel every single day from Mpiji Katende to Chambogo University. Every single day. So I would drive a short distance, leave the car parked somewhere, take a taxi, go to town, take another taxi up to the school.
Strong woman.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, so it was a lot of juggling.
How long would this distance take?
It would take me time. I would get there, I would be late. Most of the times when we shifted to Katende, I would be late. Sometimes I would fail. And so I would call my friends and tell them, you know what, today is your turn to study. Make sure you grasp everything, then you'll have to explain what you have studied. So it was tough.
Yeah,
it was really tough. It was really challenging, but I was able to make it through, and I performed really well. So
that's great.
And I'm glad about that.
That's great. That's really good, because it gives me a perspective. Like, you know what, there's some people who've had it worse.
Exactly.
So it's really good.